My ex-boyfriend proposed to his new girlfriend at my sister's wedding. My sister didn't warn me, and now I'm too angry to let go. I don't want to make this post very long, but I'm going to be needing all the advice you got about how to not resent my sister for what she did. I want to know if I'm being a bitter woman, a sore loser. These are the things I've been hearing from my family. Not the exact wording, but the sentiments. My female 31 ex-boyfriend broke up with me after about 1.5 years, by basically ghosting me and not returning my calls or texts. This was on February/March 2020. On the week leading him to breaking up with me, I was getting weird texts with sexual content and he saw one of them. I tried to explain that I didn't know the person texting me, and he seemed to believe me, but apparently not, because it was then he stopped talking to me. One day on my way back from work, I saw him coming out of the movies with an acquaintance, female 28, let's call her Eve, of mine, kissing and holding hands. I call her acquaintance because even if we ran in the same circle of friends, we never really were close. In fact, she didn't hide her disapproval of my relationship. I thought him to be out of my league, and she was very outspoken about that. With restrictions and people stopping to hang out, I didn't see or hear anything of them over the following months. I was heartbroken, but at the same time very disgusted by my ex's behavior. My anger and isolation helped the healing process. Last Christmas Eve when I was at my parents' house, my sister, female 28, who is a better friend to Eve, told me that Eve has agreed to host her wedding at her summer house, more of a mansion, for free. And my sister was over the moon with happiness, and she and her fiancé could never afford a place like that. My sister told me that because Eve was so generous, she invited her and my ex to the wedding. I was livid and asked her how she could do this to me and left my parents' house crying. I later regretted being mad at my sister. She wasn't the one who hurt me, and so I called to apologize. She thanked me and told me she was so happy and asked me to be her maid of honor. The wedding was in August. Me, mom, and my sister's best friend did all the planning and worked almost all day every day the week leading to the party. It was a 3-day wedding with rehearsal dinner on Friday, wedding on Saturday, and a brunch party on Sunday. At the rehearsal dinner, my sister made a speech thanking everyone for the hard work. She then thanked the host, Eve, for her generosity and told her that she had a surprise planned for her. Ex-boyfriend then literally got down on one knee and asked her to marry him. I was mortified and wanted to vomit. I didn't say anything and didn't join in the cheering. I wanted to run away, but I couldn't ruin my sister's wedding, so I stayed for the next day and left the morning of the third day. I can't help but feel betrayed by her. She could at least have warned me of what she was planning to do. After her honeymoon, she called and told me it wasn't her secret and that Eve had planned the whole thing, and she couldn't say no because she didn't want to be rude to the host. I told her to go screw herself if she thought a perfect party was worth hurting her own sister. She called me bitter and jealous and hung up. We haven't spoken since. Now this Christmas, I told my mom that I wasn't coming. She was mad and told me to grow up and stop blaming the world, that I'm not the first person to be dumped, and if I was so in love with him, maybe I shouldn't have cheated? I yelled at my mom, and now I don't talk to her either. I know it's not mom or sister's fault, but I'm so afraid that I have become so resentful and bitter like they said. But I'm so hurt it feels like physical pain in my heart. How can I move on from this resentment? Now for the top advice. That's a low blow from your sister. She should have given you a subtle heads up at least. But really, I would never let my sister's ex propose at my wedding. That's just so inconsiderate of your sister. And he can definitely figure out something better for his proposal than his ex's sister's wedding. Shaking my head. She simply said it wasn't her secret, and that she was afraid I would refuse to attend a wedding and ruin her day. Shows her priorities. Your sister has shown you who she really is. Respect that and move forward with your life. I've had people tell me that, and I have always thought it was a coward's answer. You let people you love know, you let your family know. I agree. She is really showing you who she is, putting her own self-interest ahead of everybody else. That makes it twice she has done this. Do you want to trust her a third time, fourth time, fifth time? When people show you who they are, believe them. I think it may be time you cut them/her off and live your life away from people who hurt you willingly for their own intentions. I would have never done that to my sister. Honestly, I wouldn't be able to have even remained friends with Eve, much less have her host a wedding. And then to ambush you like that? Your sister is awful. I don't care about your feelings at all. And the ex, let alone the cheating, but to ghost you? Like, I'm floored. I hope her wedding venue is worth destroying your relationship. I mean, you may move past this, but I doubt it'll ever really be forgotten. And to think a swanky venue was all it took for her to throw you under the bus. I am so freaking mad for you. Exactly how I feel. Is a party so worth hurting your sister like this? I would have never done it if Eve had offered me to Versailles. And it has nothing to do with it's been over a year since he dumped you, move on. It's not about him. This entire thing is so creepy. It's so tacky to propose at someone else's wedding. And she even orchestrated a fake proposal for herself to steal the limelight from your sister? Yaks, good luck with that one. That said, your sister should have told you. It's awful that she didn't put you in that position. It's even worse that your family's being so careless and cruel about your hurt. I think distancing yourself from them is a good idea. They don't care to be supportive of you, and you don't need anything else piled on while you heal. It is very creepy. If it wasn't my sister's wedding and my ex proposing, I would have sat back and laughed at the cringe. Many guests, 50 at the rehearsal, 300 at the actual wedding, thought it cringe. Next story. My friend female 24 has turned into a bridezilla, and it's ruining our relationship. Bride and I have always gotten along. Her fiancé is amazing. Super tight-knit group between her and her spouse and my spouse and I. The wedding is this weekend, but I can't wait for it to be over. I'm sick of it. She's stressed to the max, as a typical bride may find herself, and my fiancé and I have been helping out wherever we can. They leave for the honeymoon right after the wedding and needed someone to watch their dog. I love dog, but she's horribly trained, ill-tempered towards other animals and dogs, and doesn't listen. The bride wants me to take the dog to my house, where I live on a farm and land shared by 3 other families, all with animals. I've seen this dog go from nice and happy to ripping out fur off of other dogs. Poor thing needs lots of training and just isn't getting it. Anyway, the conversation goes as follows. Bride: so you'll take the dog when we leave? Me: I have no issue watching the dog at your house, but I really don't feel comfortable with her coming to stay with me for 9 days. I have animals on the property and a cat that lives inside. Bride: the dog will be fine. Walks off. The conversation ended here, unfortunately. Days passed and I get exciting news. My brother and I have been searching for months to find a perfect kitten for my mom. We found a kitten that is basically the reincarnation of my mom's childhood cat. It's weird. So him and I apply for the kitten and boom, she's ours. I will be keeping her at my house until Christmas. I want to make a little safety room for the cat as she is shy. So I text the bride for help. Me: hey, my brother and I ended up getting that kitten. I was wondering if I would be able to borrow your puppy pen? No worries if I can't. Bride: wait, what? No, you said you'd take the dog. Now you're getting a kitten? Why'd you lie and say you'll take the dog? Me: I didn't lie. I said I wasn't comfortable with her coming to my house. To which she told me no, it's fine, and disregarded my concerns. I have no issue coming to your house and working from there. I work from home. She exploded, saying how I was backing out and not trustworthy, and that she was stressed out. I acknowledged that she was stressed and I would do anything to help. But I would not be going out of my comfort zone to watch an aggressive dog on my animal field property. She reminds me that she's stressed about her cat dying, and that I don't know what stress actually is. My grandpa passed away the day before we left for the bachelorette party. I was devastated, but I went anyway since I already paid for my ticket and hotel room. But my grandma's in the process of dying. The bride's comment hit a sore spot with me, so I let her know that her comment was rude because she knew what I was going through and grieving over, and that perhaps the convo should end here before anything else is said. Nope. She continues with saying how I'm backing out. I'm not any help. Why would I lie? She wasn't hearing me or what I was saying, so I drops it for the night. Bride then goes after my fiancé, saying what on earth is my problem. Fiancé supported me, bless his heart, saying that I'm grieving, and her comments were rude and disrespectful. We knew she was stressed, but coming after me wasn't how this conversation was gonna go. My fiancé is a no BS guy. It was polite at first, but the bridal meltdown continued. She said my grandpa's death wasn't important and had nothing to do with the current situation. Fiancé stopped the convo there as she was just digging her hole even deeper. None of us have spoken since. Wedding is this Friday and I'm just gonna push through it like nothing happened and help where it's needed. Don't know what's happening to the dog. I don't even know where to go from here in our relationship. She doesn't want to hear me and invalidates my feelings and concerns. I get that she's stressed, but damn, I ain't your stressed punching bag. I have my own issues I'm dealing with. How do I even traverse this? So the problem isn't that your friend is a bridezilla. The problem is that your friend is a selfish a-hole and you didn't notice it, or chose not to notice it until the wedding made it too obvious to ignore. You know, I think you're right. This whole situation has shown me her true colors right in my face, and I can't ignore them. Weddings are pivotal events that bring out the best and worst in people, and absolutely make or break relationships. This goes both ways, either as the bride and groom or friends attending. My wedding changed all my relationships. People either got closer or drifted away. In a strange way, the wedding was as much a goodbye party for my old life and some of my friends, as it was a celebration of something new and diving deep with certain people. Let her find someone else to take the dog, or the dog needs to go to boarding. Selfish pet owners that don't train their animals get this exact scenario. No one wants to be around their pets. You offered her an alternate solution. No idea why she wouldn't accept you taking care of the dog at her place. I feel bad for the dog, or any dog really that doesn't get proper training. I thought I was offering a good alternative. I've watched the dog before at their house, so I don't get why all of a sudden it's a no-go. I would just make sure the fiancé/co-owner of the dog is fully aware of your stance about the dog and the reasonable alternative you offered, so he isn't stuck making plans based on her telling him you're taking the dog. My fiancé has let the husband know my stance on the dog. It has been acknowledged by him. Now for the last story. Boyfriend 43 male is angry that I, 42 female, post nude while in college. Plus a little update. I got divorced from my first husband about 5 years ago after a 15-year marriage. We got together young and just grew apart. And after spending several years fully single, I decided to start dating earlier this year and met my current boyfriend. We dated casually for a few months, meaning we saw each other regularly but non-exclusively, and a couple months ago decided to be exclusive and moved to a more serious and committed relationship. In the context of being more committed, we have been having more intensive discussions about our pasts and revealing things that wouldn't necessarily come up in casual dating that doesn't come with a relationship status. A few days ago, we had a discussion where we each agreed to reveal the most out-of-character thing we have ever done. For him, it was going skydiving when he has a fear of heights, which he said he was glad to experience, but would not likely do it again. For me, I revealed that I had posed nude while in college. This was not posing for an pornographic context or even for photos. I was one of those people who posed for art students who are practicing drawing and painting the human form. It was very out of character for me because I had grown up in a purity culture in which the human body was thought to be, at the same time, very shameful and constantly sexualized. And this experience helped me to work past that shame. My boyfriend got angry and insists that I basically did X work and that I had no right to withhold this information from him. That he wouldn't have gotten into a relationship with me if he had known. The thing is, it wasn't sexual at all. The people posing were all of ages, shapes and size. There was no touching and the students were very professional, as the professors kept a very close eye on what was going on due to the potential for mistreatment and would absolutely not have tolerated any harassment of the models. In most cases, they were just practicing drawing/painting body contours and didn't even depict my face. This was well before smartphones with cameras were a thing, and in fact, no photography was allowed in the studios to protect the privacy of the models, unless they were posing specifically for photography students, which I never did. So there was basically no chance that any images or artistic renderings of me ended up on the internet. Anyway, now I'm feeling embarrassed and ashamed, and I'm not even sure if I still have a boyfriend, as he said he needed to think about whether he could be with an ex-worker. What do you guys think? Is his concern warranted? This was over 20 years ago. I did get paid, about $100 a session, and did about a dozen sessions over the course of a couple semesters. I am thinking I should probably break up with him even if he forgives me, because my rational side doesn't think I deserve to be judged negatively for this, and frankly his reaction is triggering a lot of my past trauma about my purity-oriented upbringing, but could use another opinion as to whether I did something wrong. Now for the top advice before reading the little update. Beg for forgiveness? For what? His weird insecurities about something from 20 years ago? Lol, this dude is whack. Forgiveness because I did porn, which according to him is a big thing to withhold. To which my immediate reaction is, yikes. When did bodies themselves, without any sexual acts or sexualized posing, become pornographic? You post nude at an art class so artists could study the human form. In what universe does your psychotic boyfriend live in that this is sex work? Apparently your naked body existing is sex work? Lol. You're new to dating and I don't think you're seeing this for the red flag it is. This guy is absolutely crazy, and there's no way in hell you should continue dating him. I can't believe he doubled down and said you misrepresented yourself. This guy is an absolute joke of a person. At least you'll have a dating story guaranteed to make everyone you know laugh like crazy. He will be mocked at dinner parties for a long time. Yes, that's my concern. Equating any and all nudity with ex work doesn't sit well with me. So if I agree to let medical students examine me for learning purposes, that would be ex work? You're right that I haven't dated much. Just a couple boyfriends before meeting my ex-husband, and then some casual dates here and there before this current relationship. A lot seems to have changed the past couple decades. And now for the update. I decided to break up with him. Mostly because I realized after posting this and thinking about it, that I just don't like him that much anymore. And from here, I would be worried about walking on eggshells all the time. And that something about me that I can't or don't want to change might set him off. We had some fun, but I haven't invested enough for me to put up with him judging me for innocuous things in my past. And I deserve someone who doesn't make me feel embarrassed and ashamed over something pretty innocent. Called him to discuss our relationship. Without my even getting a word in edgewise, he launched into how much of a hard time he was still having with my past, that he thought I had really misrepresented myself, that he was actually traumatized by thinking about me being nude in that room with so many people leering at me and me getting paid for it. And he said I needed therapy for my attention-seeking behavior. As soon as I could interject, I told him I wasn't going to apologize for or be ashamed of my past, and that we obviously weren't compatible, but I wished him luck with finding someone in the future who shared his views on artistic nudity. He tried to backpedal and say we could work through things if I would just admit what I had done wrong and get help, but I refused and said we were done here. Feels like a huge relief, so thank you guys for helping me see clearly. Am I wrong for accusing girlfriend for cheating on me? Found pregnancy test. Original post. So my girlfriend and I have been together for just under a year. We don't live together, we both work full-time, and we are exclusive as far as I'm aware. About 3 months ago, I noticed my girlfriend spending a lot of time on the phone with her friend Jessie. She says that Jessie is a good friend, and that's it. However, she often spends any time she can on the phone with him, even when she and I are out. Their conversations don't lead me to think anything, but about 1.5 months ago, my girlfriend said she was going to visit Jessie, who lives 2 states over. I couldn't go because I had to work. Of course, I told her that I wasn't comfortable with her visiting a male friend out of state, but she said that Jessie is just a friend. She would be staying at his place, but Jesse is also a single father of 2 young boys, so my girlfriend assured me nothing would happen. Despite me voicing my opinion, my girlfriend took the trip and shared her location to put my mind at ease. She returned a week later, and we moved on with life. However, about 2 weeks ago, my girlfriend asked me to go to our local Target to pick up an online order she had placed. She told me she ordered shampoo and a few hygiene items. I agreed and went to pick up her order. When I got to the customer service counter and gave them her name, they brought out a bag with a pregnancy test in it. Shocked and confused, I told them that this wasn't what she told me was in her order. I checked the name and phone number attached to the bag and found that it matched my girlfriend's number, so it couldn't have been another girl with the same name. They then brought out the bag with the items she had told me to get, and I left without asking more questions about the pregnancy test. Shocked and confused by this, because there was no real way I could have potentially impregnated her, we used protection. I later asked her why there was a pregnancy test at Target under her name. At first, she said she had no idea and didn't order a pregnancy test. I asked her to show me her Target app to prove it, and she said that it was probably her sister, since her sister uses her Target account to order things sometimes. She also claimed that women sometimes use pregnancy tests to regulate their PMS, or for other things besides determining if they're pregnant. I don't know much about how this works, but she assured me she wasn't pregnant and that the test wasn't a sign of her cheating when she was on the trip. The other night, we went out to dinner and she made it a point to prove that she isn't pregnant by ordering a few cocktails. Am I wrong for accusing my girlfriend of cheating on me while she was away? I'm so paranoid, but I also don't have real proof that she did. Edit. Needed to clarify the part about the pregnancy test. The pregnancy test was part of a separate online order. She asked me to pick up her online order at Target, which she said consisted of shampoo, deodorant, and some lotion. When I went to the counter and gave them her name, they brought out the bag with the pregnancy test. I said this wasn't what she told me was in her order, so they checked again and brought out a second bag with the right stuff, as previously mentioned. After checking the info on both bags, I confirmed that both orders were under her name/account, so I believe she secretly placed an online order for a pregnancy test and planned to get that later while asking me to get her shampoo. The pregnancy test was not in the same bag as the stuff she asked me to get. I never saw the pregnancy test after that, so I don't know if that truly was an order she made by mistake or if her sister used her Target account to order that for herself. However, I did bring up the fact that her sister lives about 20 minutes from her and has a Target much closer to her. So why would she place an order for a pregnancy test and have the pickup location further from her house, even if her local Target was out of stock? I find it hard to believe that her sister would order a pregnancy test under her account and pick it up near her house. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Sure, the pregnancy test could have been placed in her order by error, but then she'd have just shown you the app to prove she didn't order it and wouldn't have blamed her sister. She also wouldn't have lied about women using pregnancy tests to regulate PMS. This is absolutely not the truth, and you should be insulted by this lie. The only thing pregnancy tests are used for is to determine if women are pregnant. That's it. She has changed the story like 5 times, and you want to believe her so much that you are starting to believe her. Her having cocktails proves nothing, except that the pregnancy test was negative. She went to stay with Jesse despite your reservations about it, lied about the pregnancy test, and is making you think you are paranoid for thinking she cheated, without protection, probably. Her having cocktails proves nothing, except that the pregnancy test was negative. Or if it was positive, she plans to abort. The pregnancy test isn't a sign of her cheating, but her reasoning is. Pregnancy tests don't regulate anything. Her changing stories and excuses are all you need to hear to know she's hiding something from you. Also, it's probably her sister's, but if you don't buy that, she has a backup excuse for it. Now for the first update. So as an update, I realized that although my girlfriend and I have protected sex, the chances of me getting her pregnant are still possible. However, I strongly believe that despite our intimacy, I couldn't have possibly impregnated my girlfriend. Not to be disgusting and personal, but I never finish inside her because I want to reduce the chances of having kids until we're both ready. That's why when I saw the pregnancy test, I immediately thought she cheated on me. Anyway, I went into a panic last night after reading all the comments and freaked out. I went to her apartment while she was at work. She gave me a key and found her iPad. I tried using her birthday as the password, and to my amazement, it worked. I immediately went through her messages and found evidence that she, in fact, had sex with her friend Jessie. I'm honestly so devastated by this, and I've been such a nervous wreck since last night. I haven't eaten and I've barely slept. Yes, I know what I did. Secretly going through her iPad and messages was wrong, but I had to know if she was cheating on me, and if that pregnancy test she secretly ordered was because Jessie may have gotten her pregnant. Now I'm waiting to confront her, but I honestly don't know how. How do I tell my girlfriend that I know she cheated? Am I wrong for going through her iPad and messages? Part of me feels wrong for this, but you have no idea how much it hurts to know she did this. She was my first real girlfriend in a long time, and now I feel like an afterthought. Edit. As far as I know, she is not pregnant. She wanted to prove this by having a few cocktails when we went to dinner last week. There's no baby involved, thank God. I'd ghost her and give her no closure. Save all the evidence. This is the way. No contact for her and no closure. It's the most effective justice you can get. And no contact will be healing for you. Nothing she can say can excuse or explain what she did, so why give her the opportunity to try? Not wrong, the pregnancy test and her preposterous answers to your questions about it caused enough concern to do some digging. Just say to her, I know. Leave and block. Though sometimes I think it would be worth confronting but not admitting you know. Tell her the pregnancy test has convinced you she cheated and ask her to come clean. Then demand she show her phone. If she refuses, you can say she has proved you right and dump her. I know the cleanest is to drop off the key and ghost, but I hate that lets her off the hook from having to squirm a bit in front of the person she betrayed. Now for the final update. So last night, I told my girlfriend that I needed to talk to her. At first, she kept saying she was busy, but I insisted on seeing her in person, so she finally said to come to her place around 8 p.m. I went over and reiterated how, ever since she got back from her trip, things have felt weird. She claimed I'm the one who's making things weird by believing that she cheated on me. She continued to claim that the pregnancy test was not hers, and that her friend Jessie was just a friend and they just hung out. I then proceeded to tell her how I know she cheated, because I saw the thread in her messages. You came here without me knowing and went through my personal messages? That's so messed up and creepy, to be honest, she said. We got into a slight argument, as I told her that my suspicions were correct, and she was trying to deflect the conversation. I asked her to give me her phone so I could show her all the messages I saw, which were very clear and explicit. Of course she refused and said, "We are not married. We don't live together. You don't own or control me." While I agreed with her on that part, I decided to end things quickly. I simply put her copy of the keys on her coffee table and told her, "You cheated. Plain and simple. Goodbye and good luck." I walked out and she made no attempt to stop me. Later, she tried to text me and said that she was sorry for what she did. At first, she claimed that Jesse was an old boyfriend that she never told me about, and that they dated years ago before she met me, and that he moved away several years ago. She claimed that the messages I saw were old conversations they had, but I quickly told her that was obviously not true. She swore that she didn't mean to cheat, and that Jesse must have gotten her drunk and it led to sex. She assured me that she is not pregnant with anyone's baby. I told her, "That's good, because I don't want anything else tying me to you." I wished her good luck again, and haven't heard from her since. Personally, I'm relieved, but I'm so upset and devastated by all this. I spoke with my friend Eric, who told me that he had an ex who cheated on him too, but she later tried to contact him years later when the dude she cheated with turned out to be a bum. Hoping I can move forward from this. Thank you all for your input. She dug herself a hole the second she tried to say she had a pregnancy test to regulate PMS. Cheaters always find these stupidest excuses. I mean, I've never cheated, but the obvious answer would be, my period's late and I didn't want to stress you out since we've been so careful and aren't ready for kids. But I was super anxious and couldn't think about anything else, so I thought I'd take it and just know. See? Easy. Glad she got caught though. He deserves honesty. The sister excuse was right there though. Like, I'm a girl. I've purchased a pregnancy test for a friend before. Most recently because her last 2 attempts had ended in early miscarriage, and her husband took it really badly. She wanted to spare him the heartache. He is now officially the world's most enthusiastic dad, by the way. So glad it's now an ex-girlfriend. She's a lying, cheating idiot. You went through my phone? Is pretty audacious when someone else went through her vagina. Cheaters sound so stupid saying this. You feel betrayed because I went through your phone when you shared your genitals with somebody else? OP should have just broken it off when he said he wasn't comfortable with her going, and she went. There are normal boundaries for a relationship, and she broke them then. I have tons of friends of the opposite sex, and if they tell me they are with someone so we have to do X like have our own hotel rooms or not stay at each other's houses, it's fine. That's normal. Also, she shared her location to make him feel better when she was already at the location that should make him worry. Where could she possibly have gone that would have concerned him when she's already at the house of a guy he was concerned she'd cheat with? I'm not sure if this lady is very dumb and thinks she's smart or just thinks OP was very dumb, but it's definitely one of the two. Maybe both. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my fiancé I don't want her to wear her late husband's wedding ring during our ceremony? I, 30 male, am engaged to Emily, 30 female, and we're getting married this fall. I love her deeply, and I've never been more sure about anything in my life. That said, there's one thing that's been eating at me, and I'm not sure if I'm being selfish or just honest. Emily was married once before to a guy named Tyler. They got married young, early 20s, and he passed away in a car accident about 5 years ago. It was sudden and tragic, and from everything I've heard, they were truly in love. I met Emily 2 years after his death. At first, she was very open about it, and I respected that. I knew coming into this relationship that I wasn't her first great love, and I was okay with that. I still am mostly. Over the years, I've supported her through moments of grief, anniversaries, and random waves of sadness. She still visits his grave on his birthday, and she keeps a box of his things in our closet. I've never touched it. She's shown me a few pictures of them together, and I've listened to her talk about what kind of person he was. I've tried really hard to respect that part of her life while also building our own. Which brings me to now. A few weeks ago, Emily told me she plans to wear Tyler's wedding ring on a chain around her neck on our wedding day. She explained it as a quiet tribute. Not something she wants to announce or make a big deal about, just something personal. She said she wouldn't be where she is now without having gone through that loss, and she feels like carrying that part of her story into this new chapter is meaningful. I didn't say much at the time because I didn't know how to respond, but the more I sat with it, the more it bothered me. So I finally told her how I felt. I said I want our wedding day to be a celebration of us, and it's hard for me to wrap my head around the idea of her wearing another man's wedding ring, even if he's gone. I told her it makes me feel like I'm sharing the most important day of my life with someone who's not here. I said it makes me feel like second place. She got very quiet, then told me that she wasn't choosing him over me, and that she's allowed to honor her past while still moving forward. She said grief isn't a door you close. It just becomes part of who you are. I get that. I really do. But at the same time, I don't think I'm asking something outrageous by wanting this one day, our day, to be about the life we're building together, not the one she lost. Since then, there's been a weird tension between us. She hasn't brought it up again, but she hasn't said she's changed her mind either. I feel like the bad guy, like I'm trying to erase someone important to her. But I'm also struggling with the idea of standing at the altar and knowing she's literally carrying a symbol of her first marriage, as she says vows to start a new one with me. I've told no one in my life about this, not my friends, not my family, because I know how it might sound. But internally, it's tearing me up. I don't want to hurt her, and I definitely don't want to start a marriage with resentment or guilt. But am I wrong for what I said? I haven't asked her not to wear it explicitly yet. But I made it clear I'm not comfortable with it. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. This must be incredibly difficult for you. I understand her sentiment, but I also understand and feel for you. Throughout the post, I kept thinking about how you are going to be looking at your soon-to-be wife as you say your vows. And not only will you see her, you will also see that ring. I would strongly suggest couples counseling and having that unbiased third party help you both with this issue. If she wears the ring, you will be hurt. If she doesn't wear the ring, she will be hurt. This could cause resentment from the start. A therapist can help you figure out what is best for both of you to start and have a happy and fruitful marriage. Also, it doesn't sound like she has truly moved past her grief, so regardless, a therapist may be a good idea. Postpone the wedding for some heavy-duty couples counseling and uber heavy-duty grief counseling for her. For at least a year. She is not really to let go and move on. She may never be. I was widowed at 29 and remarried 6 years later. I can totally relate to your fiancé's rationale for this, and also understand your very normal feelings about it. That said, I think she's wrong. Your wedding is inherently, implicitly, and factually about your relationship together, and her late husband shouldn't be a part of it. There are lots of ways she can continue to honor and remember him the rest of her life. This is one day. My worry for you is that she's doing it as a sort of apology to him for moving on with you. I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of that either. I agree. It seems she wants to wear it because she feels guilty for moving on. I don't believe moving on is a thing. Moving forward, yes. Moving on, no. Thank you. I really appreciate this. I've been feeling like a bad person for even having these emotions, so it helps to hear that it's okay to feel conflicted. I do love Emily, more than I've ever loved anyone, and I want to be sensitive to everything she's been through. I'm not trying to erase Tyler or pretend he didn't matter. I just want to feel like I matter too, especially on a day that's supposed to mark the start of our life together. I'm hoping we can have another honest conversation about it soon.